Welcome back. You're watching NewsX. I'm Uday Pratap Singh. Our big focus on the broadcast today is on the Modi-Putin meeting and visit. Yes, Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, is going to be in India very, very shortly. He will be landing in New Delhi. It's the most important bilateral meeting of the year. It's all set to take place in a couple of hours. Before that, let's take a trip down memory lane and see some of the key moments of the journey between Prime Minister Modi and President Putin. Well, this is the oldest available image of Prime Minister Narendra Modi standing behind the then Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee. This is an image from 2001 from Moscow. Their inaugural summit at the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum launched the special and privileged strategic partnership with talks on energy, trade and 70 years of diplomatic ties. Putin welcomed Modi warmly, emphasizing trust-based relations. The visuals now that you will see on your screen are from Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his meeting with the Russian President Vladimir Putin at the historic Central Hall of Kremlin back in 2015. Yes, this is in 2015 when the Indian Prime Minister met the Russian President there in Moscow. Now we will show you another visual. You can see both leaders at the 2016 BRICS Summit in Goa. At the BRICS Summit, their firm handshake reinforced India's role in counter-terrorism and economic corridors, with Putin in traditional Indian attire for the group photo op. In fact, you can see there that photograph on your screen. This is the BRICS meeting in Goa, in India. Now, one of the most historic moments of both the leaders, what you see on your screens, is the 7th annual India-Russia summit. During the annual summit, they advanced the $5.4 billion S-400 missile deal, boosting India's air defense. The ceremony was witnessed by both leaders. Now we will play up some more visuals of 2018, when Prime Minister Narendra Modi traveled to Vladivostok in Russia and visited the Street of Far East exhibition with President Vladimir Putin. This was, of course, a visual from Vladivostok. And now we're going to put out for you another visual. On your screen, you can see a video from the SCO summit in Samarkand, Uzbekistan. In a 30-minute huddle amidst the Ukraine conflict, Prime Minister Modi told President Putin, "This is not an era of war," urging dialogue. This was a pivotal moment for India's neutral stance. In the most recent visit of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, President Putin hosted Prime Minister Modi at the Novo Orgaryovo for a candid dinner and riverside walk. They reviewed 22 agreements on trade as well as energy post the Ukraine invasion. Now we will put out for you the most famous visual from PM Modi and President Putin's meeting recently on the sidelines of the SCO. The duo shared a 45-minute insightful discussion in Putin's Oris limousine en route to the SCO sessions, focusing on regional stability and energy imports. The visual now that you will see on your screens probably is the most political power in one frame. This is a video from the SCO summit in Tianjin, where Prime Minister Modi can be seen having a casual chat with the President of Russia, Vladimir Putin, and the President of China, Xi Jinping. They were seen holding hands and laughing, signaling multipolar unity amidst talks on trade and broader resolutions. So these, of course, are the most significant recent meetings, pictures, visuals of Modi and Putin. Joining us now on the broadcast is Wing Commander Praful Bakshi, former Indian Air Force officer. We also have Gautam Mukherjee, senior journalist, joining us live. Pramit Pal Chaudhary, South Asia head for Eurasia Group, is live with us. Vipin Sharma, senior journalist, is also joining us on the broadcast. Let me make a start with you first, Wing Commander Bakshi. The bonhomie has always been on display between Modi and Putin whenever the two have met, and we've just recounted some of their meetings over the years. How important has the two leaders' personal camaraderie been in building closer India-Russia relations?
Thank you, Uday, for having me with you. Let me tell you that At this juncture, India meeting Russia is perhaps a very important landmark because India has now passed through various turmoils. The geopolitical situation around India may not be very strong, and Russia has also overcome and now doesn't bother much about the world opinion and various sanctions, etc. Uh, and whatever the case, the European Union and all is putting up forward. That is, in this atmosphere, meeting of Putin and meeting of Prime Minister Modi is very important because at the moment, lot of important discussions, both in play and in terms of diplomacy, both in terms of uh, defense exchange programs, especially defense exchange programs, are going to take place. When I talk of defense exchange programs, it is just not a routine defense exchange. It is in the light of the recent Sindoor operations, in where a lot of testing was done, and there is a lot of reports came up on the performance of S-400, the performance of BrahMos, and other weapon systems, and the political standing of all countries around, including China. In this context, when you see Putin and Russia in India meeting, Prime Minister Modi meeting, there will be a lot of aspects regarding Su-57, the advanced Su-57, and the version being developed in India, S-500 from S-400 will be discussed, and also the advanced BrahMos missile with advanced more in range. They're not only going to discuss them, they are going to discuss whether it can be made a joint venture in India and joint development as we are planning. Our 2047 dream is asking us for to make in India Tahat. That sort of that statement. Will we meet that? That is more important. And Russia is going to ignore a lot of what happens around the world. The SCO meeting, as you see, has already had decided between both the countries that we will now make a very advanced, planning in this. We will not repeat the mistake of FGFA, where India backed out because of finances. That is not the problem now because India has overcome all those problems and we are very serious about it. So Su-57, S-500 and BrahMos will be main on top. But then also our relation with Pakistan and China will be discussed, will be in the backdrop. Let us not think that it is just going to be in the backdrop. Russia is very serious about it because our position in BRICS, which Russia wants it to be strong, Russia is even, as per my opinion, has advised China that you must now taper off with India, bring in a peace atmosphere so that BRICS can jointly...
Absolutely. In fact, Gautam Mukherjee, come in here on this... on these meetings, that we've just recounted through pictures and videos, which have been the most significant for you? The most significant meeting in the last, over decade-long association that Modi and Putin have had with each other in building the closening of India-Russia ties to the state of them that we see today, to the build-up, of course, to this new meeting that will be happening over the course of the next 24 to 28 hours that Putin will be in India. But looking back for a second, which meeting, which summit, which forum, which city, which moment has stood out for you, has really defined Indo-Russia ties and the bond between Narendra Modi and Vladimir Putin?
I think in the present context, definitely the meeting at the SCO, where a lot of rumors were also swirling around with regard to the safety of our Prime Minister. It reinforced the Russian-Indian relationship like none other. In addition to that, the fact that India began its thaw in its relationship with China, which is something that Russia very much wants us to do because they would like to see a troika of India, Russia, and China. We have no difficulties, of course, with Russia. because they are a tried and tested ally. But when it comes to China, we are going to tread slowly and cautiously. However, should this mature into a troika, it will be the most formidable alliance of the 21st century. And stranger things have happened in the past, so it's possible. If you remember in World War II, Russia was an ally. And after that, for many years, decades, it was an enemy and behind the Iron Curtain. And there was a big rivalry between the West and the USSR. And today, Russia is being wooed by America for many things. And America is also wooing China, having got off its high horse in terms of opposing it. It is now, some people are calling it the revival of the idea.
Right.
Of
In fact, even as you tell us that, we just saw visuals on our screen of the Defense Minister of India, Rajnath Singh, along with the Defense Minister of Russia, Andrei Belousov, paying homage to Mahatma Gandhi at Raj Ghat. Vladimir Putin himself will be visiting Raj Ghat tomorrow. But ahead of Vladimir Putin's arrival in India, several senior officials of Russia have already arrived, including the First Minister, who visited the Ministry of External Affairs earlier today. We are now also getting information for our viewers, and now the visuals on our screen as well, of the Defense Minister of Russia, who has arrived in India, paying homage at Raj Ghat. Accompanying him is the Defense Minister of India, Rajnath Singh. Andrei Belousov and Rajnath Singh will now be headed for the India-Russia military cooperation meeting as well. We do know that defense ties are a key component of our relations between the two countries, and preceding the highest level dialogue will be, of course, this meeting on military cooperation. You can see there the army chiefs, of course, 3 army chiefs and the chief of defense forces, the 3, armed forces chiefs, the chief of naval staff, chief of air force and chief of army staff, all accompanying the defense minister as well. The CDS is present also, as Andrei Belousov, of course, signs the visitors book at Raj Ghat, and is all smiles as he, of course, begins this India visit of his. A lot on the plate for the defense minister of Russia and in India as they head now for that meeting on military cooperation between India and Russia, which will be commencing shortly this evening. But let me quickly rope you in here, Pramit Pal Chaudhary. Defense ties, every meeting of Putin and Modi, defense ties have gotten closer, security cooperation has gotten closer. Key defense acquisitions have also been inked, isn't it? This has been a key component of our relationship over the years. As we see the defense ministers of the two countries meet and pay homage at Raj Ghat, we have to, take out a minute and just talk about how defense and security has been strengthened by Modi and Putin at different junctures, at different meetings over the years.
Well, defense has definitely been, defense and energy are now basically the 2 material components of the relationship. But it is important to stress that the defense one is under pressure. India's reliance on defense weapons from Russia used to stand at about 67-68% of our arsenal. Today it's down to 40% and is falling. And there's a simple reason for that. One, India is now making a lot more of its own weapons. It has also diversified its weapon systems. France, Israel in particular, are now major partners for a lot of our defense equipment. But there are niche areas where the Russians are basically our only or almost our predominant partner. These include the nuclear submarines that we use. These are all Russian in origin, at least. We have now largely indigenized them. And now, of course, at least one element of our 6-layer air defense system, the S-400, is completely Russian. The problem that we face is that Russia has been falling behind in these technologies. Drones, for example, a lot of the cyber security structures, the software, high-end electronics. These are not areas that Russia has done very well in. These are areas, for example, that Israel has been a predominant partner. So finding new areas on the defense side, I think, is going to be a key part of what we're going to be looking at. I'm a bit skeptical about the fifth generation fighter, but I do believe that the S-500, especially if the prototype that is functional can do what it's proposed to do, for example, take out hypersonic missiles and so on. The Russians have developed in the Ukraine conflict new weapons like the Zircon missile and others, which we would probably be very interested in. But finding these new niches are going to be crucial. Because what you have here is two countries whose strategic relationship is very strong. Their worldview, if you wish, is very similar, and they have no problems with each other. We have no territorial or security issues with each other. But the material element behind that needs to be strengthened, particularly as India develops its capacity to build its own weapons. What we'll really be looking for is partnerships and subsystems, niches and alloys, and so on that we need for our Indian companies to be able to build their own things. And that's basically where we need to be looking for the future of the Russian relationship.
Okay, let me also address some more breaking news, in fact, coming in now. According to reports in Bloomberg, India has concluded a major defense agreement with Russia worth about $2 billion for the lease of a nuclear-powered attack submarine. The deal was announced ahead of President Vladimir Putin's visit to New Delhi, signaling continued defense cooperation between the two countries. So even as we talk about defense and how strategically important it is between the two countries, Bipin Sharma, how do you react to news now coming in of this deal that has been inked, this defense agreement between India and Russia for the lease of a nuclear-powered attack submarine?
Well, Uday, thanks. And then defense has always been the backbone of Indo-Russia trade ties. Now, this will be a big shot in the arm, because now the fact is that the target is $100 billion of bilateral trade by 2030. So now this is a big step in that direction, because trade imbalance also will be worked upon, because that deficit, that gap which is there, because and India will definitely like to push its exports of pharmaceuticals, medicines, chemicals, and then whereas Russia is going for S-400 missiles, and then of course this $2 billion submarine deal, if these reports are to be believed, which has been inked. So I think history is going to be written and a watershed moment, because in the present day scenario, let us take into consideration the very important fact that Russia is globally isolated. And we are hearing this news about frozen assets, and then how Russia is saying that if those assets are attacked or used, then it will be treated as an act of war. And then this particular meet of Modi and Putin will definitely pave the way for increasing India's global stature. So I think all in all, I think this trip is going to be very monumental, because it will send shivers down the spine of our principal adversary, which is China, and of course Pakistan, not to forget US, because when it came to condemning the Pahalgam terror attacks, then Russia minced no words, and it was categorically condemning this attack. But then US was quite diplomatic, very shrewd in its diplomacy, and then it said that both Pakistan and India are its friends. So in such a scenario, our time-tested bonhomie bonding with Russia is again, we are going to be very soon, when Putin lands in New Delhi, a new script is going to be rewritten.
Absolutely. So clearly, of course, this is going to be a new script, a new story, a new direction for India-Russia ties. But just talking for a second about the the importance of this deal, Wing Commander Bakshi, how strategically important is this nuclear-powered attack submarine for us? This deal reportedly worth about $2 billion for the lease of this submarine.
Absolutely right, Uday. This meeting also is going to discuss that we have to become now independently developing our nuclear submarine and not leasing it out like Chakra earlier we had done. And we have been, though our technology is still not developed, but we have to take assurance from Russia that we will now develop our own nuclear submarine. So do we have the wherewithal and the technology to maintain the power plant of the submarine? Because that is where our problem is, that how to maintain a nuclear power plant, which will we get. But this will add a lot of muscles to our submarine arm, because thereafter we would be able to take our fleet and protection of our fleet into South China Sea, where China is making its headway into all territory of islands, building artificial islands, stopping fishery of other countries. And that is where China is very, very chary about India taking part in those exercises and in that area. Russia is totally aware, and China has discussed with Russia that if you're going to help India in this way, make sure either India does not confront me or something like that. And that is where the importance of BRICS meeting comes again. So this is why, but nuclear submarine will make China think twice in making their submarine, passages which they're making both in Arabian Sea and Bay of Bengal. Even at that moment, there are 8 submarines of China lurking, whether in these seas or both sides of India. So this will add a lot of muscles to it and muscles to our Navy, and we must look forward to it.
Yes, more breaking news, in fact, now also coming in. While the specific submarine name has not been released publicly, the Bloomberg report says it is a nuclear-powered attack submarine. India's previous leases from Russia have all been Akula-class vessels, making this the most likely platform type for the incoming submarine. A nuclear-powered attack submarine significantly extends India's underwater endurance, mobility and stealth. The vessel will strengthen patrol duties in the Indian Ocean and complement India's existing submarine fleet at a time of expanding maritime competition. So clearly, of course, Wing Commander Bakshi, as far as the exact vessel is concerned, we are yet to get the nitty-gritties, the finer details. But of course, we do know that it's a nuclear-powered attack submarine. Also, the fact is that normally Akula-class vessels have been the most likely platform types that we have got from Russia. What makes this unique? What makes this strategically different from others?
Basically, Uday, it's its range and it is capacity to remain underwater for a very long time and not to surface for a replenishment of air, etc. The advanced AIP system has already been procured by India. That is already there. Russia is aware of it. And let me also tell you that America was trying to scuttle this program as it scuttled the French program with Australia. So America is quite cross as far as this submarine is concerned. But besides this particular submarine, our manpower has been trained. The technicians, etc., have all been trained earlier. So we will not have to wait to take over. The homework has been done, the groundwork has been done for this class of submarine. Of course, what name is going to be given, you're very right. We'll have to come to know about it. But India is ready. Indian technicians and technical background is totally ready for this.
Absolutely. Gautam Mukherjee, a very strategically important submarine that will of course be leased to India. We are learning also this possibly is an Akula class vessel. Those have been the submarines normally we've acquired from Russia. The nitty-gritties of the deal, of course, yet to be announced.
Yes, this will be useful. But as I was saying, with the kind of pressure politics that Trump's America has adopted, everything that we do by way of advances with Russia in this summit and beyond will have to be protected by a kind of pact with China as well. You know, Quad has collapsed or has been ignored into irrelevance by America as it stands. Whether it comes back into view after Trump's term ends remains to be seen. So it isn't so much a matter of protecting Western interests or even the so-called, in inverted commas, international interests of the seaways. It is a bilateral matter. We have to strengthen our own resources, our own military resources, economic resources, cooperate with Europe when it suits us, cooperate with China when it suits us, and strengthen our relationship with Russia in a manner that Trump is not able to subvert it, because he's watching very closely to see how he can punish India for any further advances with cooperation with Russia. We have no doubt anticipated that, and we have to take care of that attitude with a closer tie with China, at least in a limited way, because America is also reviving the Obama policy of G2 for all intents and purposes. They've stopped confronting China. They're trying to cooperate and transact. So we have to maneuver between all of these geopolitical currents.
Yes. Now, of course, according to a Bloomberg report as well coming in, the submarine is expected to join the Indian Navy within the next 2 years. The timeline aligns with India's operational need for a capable attack submarine as it awaits progress on domestic nuclear submarine programs. How strategically important, Pramit Pal Chaudhary, is this acquisition for our Indian Navy? For us, nuclear attack powered submarine, possibly an Akula type vessel, we're expected to get it within the next 2 years. That's the kind of timeline that the report suggests.
So yeah, as you mentioned, we have experience with using an Akula class before. Russia, we had actually planned to buy a number of them earlier, but Russia itself had struggled to complete them when in the midst of its own financial and technological problems. I hope it's even the more advanced version, the Yasen class submarine, but that may not be ready for export, if you wish, yet. But the Akula class, the point is that, as you mentioned, we already have nuclear ballistic missile submarines, which essentially are the core of our nuclear deterrence, mainly aimed at China, but at any other country that has nuclear weapons. The nuclear attack submarine, as Commodore Bakshi mentioned, is designed to allow us to send our attack submarines into the Pacific. At present, China sends in submarines into the Indian Ocean, but our diesel-electric submarines do not have the range to go beyond really the Straits of Malacca with difficulty. So for us to be able to at least show our presence and to show China that we are capable of causing problems for them on their own horizon, we need to have nuclear attack submarines. And that's exactly why we have been hunting. We've been looking at them. We've been looking at the French, for example, the Barracuda class has been another option. But there are two issues, and I think this is why the Akula, the Russian deal, is so important. When the present Arihant class is essentially an indigenized version of a Russian ballistic missile submarine, because the Russians gave us the technology to do so. The French are not, unfortunately, prepared to do that with the Barracuda. But I'm assuming that this deal means that we will get that technology as well, in which case we will have our own indigenous nuclear attack submarine capacity, probably within about 5 years of the first submarine arriving.
And about 2 years, that ties in with our timelines, our need, within the next 2 years as well, the operational need of the Indian Navy, Wing Commander Bakshi, because I think our domestic, program is taking some time to take off, which is why we do need this acquisition because of operational needs of the Indian Navy.
Absolutely right, Uday. as I told you, our crew is ready and our crew is well trained. You see, and switching from one type of submarine to other type of submarine does not take very long if you are fully operational. And nuclear submarine with the nuclear weapon systems we have now, we have to now see whether this submarine can be married with the launch of BrahMos missile and launch of other missiles which India has an arsenal. That aspect will have to be, ascertained firmly. You see, we have a lot of weapon systems which can be compatible to the French submarines. So we'll have to see how we can marry this off. Like we have married the air-to-air missiles, the Russian missiles into French missiles into Russian aircraft, etc., by the help of Israelis. And you will be surprised. Israelis are quite an expert in every field. And you won't be surprised if you start getting Israeli technicians into this conversion. But as far as I'm concerned, this is very important. We have to wait and watch how fast they come. Probably we'll request Russia to accelerate this program of submarine, and we probably build up our own capability in this. We will once again reiterate Russia that we have to do it. And Russia has realized the importance, that how important it is for India to make it within itself. And previously, Russia was not very serious. I will tell you, the BIS aircraft of MiG-21, Russia shot it down. They did not let us build it at that time. But political situation was different that time. HF-24 were grounded at the behest of Russia because they wanted to induct three MiG-23 squadrons. So we are not going to fall in that trap once again. We were politically weak at that time, but not so more now.
Okay, let me get in some more breaking news. In fact, also coming in now, the Bloomberg report has claimed that the Lee submarine will be used to train Indian naval personnel and provide hands-on experience on nuclear power attack platforms. This is essential while India continues to build and test its indigenous nuclear submarine capabilities. So we're getting word of what the exact purpose is going to be as well of this acquisition. Bipin Sharma.
Absolutely. I think the training will hold the key, because very hefty cost budget is going to be involved. So in such a scenario, definitely, all those logistic factors have to be taken into consideration. They have to be borne in mind. Now, this is going to be a new world order in the making once when Vladimir Putin meets Narendra Modi on this very historic summit. So there is no denying the fact that the power of New India is being hailed and acknowledged globally today. And while the skeptics, the naysayers may have their own take on this, but then this era actually belongs to India, because what happened during the COVID outbreak, we emerged as a donor nation, and we were helping so many other countries which were in desperate need of vaccines and other essential commodities. So now this is the very important factor which needs to be borne is the crude oil imports, because that also will play a very important role. Energy, space, then S-400, then of course this talk about the $2 billion submarine deal which has been inked and which is there in the pipeline. Now all this augurs well for India, because let us not forget that Pakistan, our neighbor, is a rogue nation, a failed terror state, and China is known for its expansionist policy, and so you can never trust China. We may have gone there for the SCO summit, then those pictures had their own connotation, but then this meeting today will definitely send shivers down the spine of many nations.
We can see there that meeting is about to begin now. I think ahead of that meeting, of course, these are visuals coming in from the National War Memorial, where the Defense Minister of Russia is being accorded a ceremonial welcome. He's already paid his tributes at Raj Ghat, and now of course a ceremonial welcome for the Defense Minister of Russia. This ahead of that India-Russia military cooperation dialogue commencing very, very shortly. India-Russia Intergovernmental Commission on Military Cooperation. That is, of course, the meeting, the forum, which will soon be addressed by the Defense Minister of Russia and the Defense Minister of India. That meeting will be beginning shortly, but before that, of course, these are visuals from the National War Memorial. The Defense Minister of Russia, of course, being introduced to senior officers of our armed forces. Of course, being briefed about the National War Memorial as well. So these, of course, those visuals coming in. Remember, of course, all of this preceding the meeting on military cooperation, which will, of course, begin now shortly. All right, let me quickly go back across to you, Wing Commander Bakshi, on, of course, also, the fact that that deal has already been inked even ahead of Vladimir Putin's arrival in India. It shows, of course, what all is to be expected now in the days ahead and in the hours ahead rather now, because his arrival in India is imminent, and we will be providing hands-on experience on nuclear powered attack platforms for our Indian Navy. During that, on that, of course, vessel that we're going to be getting from Russia, that nuclear powered submarine, key training, key hands-on experience will be gained by our forces.
Absolutely. Not only hands-on experience for the crew, but also their amalgamation in the fleet order, joint exercises, when the other ships are sailing in company of a nuclear submarine.
1 second. Wing Commander Bakshi, just quickly interjecting, I just want to quickly correct one information. This is, of course, not the National War Memorial. This is, of course, the meeting venue where that meeting on India-Russia military cooperation is taking place. And, of course, before that meeting, we saw the ceremonial welcome, the Guard of Honor that was, of course, accorded to the Russian Defense Minister. Shows the kind of red carpet being laid out for the Russian dignitaries. But yes, a quick correction. That's, of course, not the National War Memorial. That's the venue where this meeting is taking place. And the meeting now, of course, will begin as the two defense ministers have entered the venue. Yes, Wing Commander Bakshi, quickly back to you.
So I was telling you that the maneuver patterns, the exercises, the form of exercises get into a lot of change. You know, because of the increased range of submarine, the increased firepower, everything, the admirals have to plan out their battle in a different manner. So we are quite good at that. We have practiced it because we had nuclear submarines earlier, of course, on lease. So there is no problem will take place. But only thing is that we have to make sure that this becomes a constant process. We don't have to take it on lease and return it and then wait for it, etc. So that is why we are going to overcome that. And probably there will be there'll be a further step towards other ships going nuclear. A nuclear powered aircraft carrier also would be on the horizon if we build it up. So handling the nuclear machinery, the nuclear infrastructure, nuclear power plants, that will be a part of our technical division of Navy, engineering from the departments of Navy. They'll become very adept to it. And I also have got news that the IITs are also getting more and more.
And I just want to now take a second, Pramit Pal Chaudhary, to just talk about the kind of welcome being accorded already to the high-ranking officials of the Russian establishment. So ahead of Vladimir Putin's arrival, the defense minister is already in India. He was just at Raj Ghat. But now, before entering this meeting venue where the India-Russia Military Cooperation Summit is, of course, going to take place. Tri-service guard of honor being accorded to him. Red carpet welcome.
So yeah, to some degree, I think it's partly compensation. Remember, we have not had him for 4 years. We're supposed to have an annual summit with Putin, and partly because of the consequences of the Ukraine war and the fact that we would face a fair amount of diplomatic pushback from other countries. He has agreed to some degree not to show up in India for some time. So now, especially after the Alaska summit, where Trump himself hosted him in America, the door is now open for us to do so. So we have to sort of compensate for those 4 years of not having him here. But to some degree, we also have to compensate him because the economic relationship will fall apart or will be sharply reduced as the sanctions come in. We've already, even a week before the sanctions kicked in on November 21st, the loaded Russian oil shipments to India had fallen by 50%. And that is almost 85% of all of our imports from Russia are just oil. Because we have a very poor trading relationship on the civilian side. So we are trying to, I think, compensate for that. He accepts that this is the reality that he faces. Putin, among other things, is extraordinarily good understanding of realpolitik. So we're trying to compensate, but I think one of the things you'll notice that in the summit the Indian government is playing up is the need for B2B cooperation. We need to have more businesses working with each other. Right now, we basically just have a government-to-government relationship. In Russia, it's only 1% of our imports, and minus petroleum, 1% of our imports, 1% of our exports. That's not the basis for a long-term relationship. So that's going to have to be that's going to be the real drive in this summit. Can we build that up? Can we actually have as much as important as a nuclear attack submarine? I think the fact that the Central Bank of Russia is actually opening an office in India, in Mumbai, is almost as important because it really begins the process of hoping to provide a financial backbone to hopefully a larger B2B relationship.
All right. Let me in fact also now play out for our viewers what the former Foreign Secretary of India, Harsh Shringla, has said on Vladimir Putin's visit. Remember, he's of course now a Rajya Sabha Member of Parliament.
Now joins us member of Rajya Sabha and also former Foreign Secretary Harshvardhan Shringla. Sir, thank you so much for talking to NewsX. Sir, as we celebrate the 25th anniversary between the strategic partnership between India and Russia, how did you view the growing partnership between the two countries?
I think when you talk about 25 years of a strategic partnership, we have come a long way, and I think we have seen many ups and downs in the context of developments in both Russia and in India. We have seen geopolitical changes, but the relationship has endured because India and Russia enjoy a trusted partnership which is based on mutual respect for each other's sovereignty and of course for each other's capabilities. And I have no doubt that as we come to this landmark occasion, we will look forward to 25 years more of an even closer and important, bilateral relationship with Russia.
So what do you have to say about the made regarding that India will stop buying oil from Russia?
Well, I mean, I cannot comment on what the President of the United States has said because I'm not privy to information that is at the levels of governments. All I can say is that the India-Russia partnership and the India-US partnership and other partnerships have to be looked upon based on their merits and the value they bring, but not through the prism of other relationships.
Sir, how do you assess India's balancing act between the West and Russia in the current geopolitical context?
Well, today there is a certain antagonism which is linked to the Russia-Ukraine conflict. I think President Trump has been working to seek, some sort of peaceful outcome from the conflict. We are very heartened by the news of the Gaza ceasefire that could bring peace to the Middle East. I have no doubt that a similar outcome is going to come about in the Russia-Ukraine conflict as well. So these antagonisms will sort themselves out, will resolve themselves, and I'm sure we will see a far more normalized relationship in time to come.
Also, sir, how India is working to strengthen the ties between Russia as far as the trade is concerned?
Yeah, trade is an important factor. It has gone up from $10 billion at pre-pandemic levels to today to almost $68 billion, primarily based on energy imports that India makes from Russia. I think it is important to rebalance that trade basket, allowing greater exports of India to be able to balance, as I said, to bring balance to that trade. We should be able to focus on pharmaceuticals, digital services, equipment and machinery, and I think there should be far more access to the Russian market in that regard.
Thank you so much, sir. So that you heard Harsh Shringla, who talked about the India and Russia growing strategic partnership between the two countries. I'm Arzu Said with video journalist Ankush for NewsX in Delhi.